So let's take a look at the main things that make up a website. And you may already know this, but a lot of people don't, so I just wanted to cover it really quick. So let's take a look at Apple, just any random website. As you can see, when I type in Apple up here, www.apple.com, it takes me to their page, their homepage, showing the new iPhone. Now, the one aspect of this is the actual name itself. That's called a domain. So if you have a business, let's say Brittany's Flower Shop, and you wanted to have www.britneysflowers.com, you would have to see if that name is available and then reserve it. Okay, so let's cover that. Here we have domains, and you get your domain name or the name of your website title from what's called a domain registrar. There's many different places you can go to do that. There's GoDaddy.com. There is multitude of options, but I'm just going to use GoDaddy.com as an example because it's pretty popular and it's what I use, and it's proven to be a good place to handle those things for me. And then also, one thing to keep in mind is the cost of keeping that name. For example, your name or your business name.com or .net. Generally, depending on what comes at the end, whether it's a .net, .org, .com, the prices can vary a little bit, but they're usually very nominal. You shouldn't be spending more than maybe $12 to $15 a year to keep your name reserved. And then you have to think about what this name does. This name, once it is registered, you can have it point towards wherever your server is or where the website is actually being stored. And whenever someone types in that name, it's going to go to the server that you have and it's going to bring up the design that you have on your server. So that's, one thing to remember. Another part of the website is the actual design aspect. So if you look at Apple here, you can see they've designed how the buttons work. See, as I scroll over the buttons, how they change the coloration. They kind of become a grayish color from a white text. Well, that is part of the design. So is how the page is laid out, where the photos are placed, how everything interacts on the website. That is all part of the design. And functionality is also part of the web design, meaning when you click on different links, where do you go? If there's forms to fill out, for example, let's say you wanted to buy this computer, you can see that there's a functionality to the website, and that is designed in with the code. And it gives you different options to configure your computer. You see? So there's the design element, and then there's the functional element, and then there's also the integration element of a website. So let's say, for example, that you want to buy this $4,999 computer here, so you add it to the bag. When you actually go to put in your credit card to buy this iMac, I'll see there's some upsells here, but let's say you add some other stuff. Let's say, okay, I want to add this to the bag as well, and then review the bag. Now you can see the two things that have been brought into my bag or shopping cart here, and then you're going to check out and put in your credit card information. Now you have to remember that credit card information is going to have to be processed so that Apple can actually receive the money, and then they can actually take your information, your billing information, your shipping information, and then get that product out to you. Okay, so that is all functional and also integration, because they're going to need to be able to integrate to databases. They're going to need to be able to integrate to credit card processing services and whatnot. And then the third part to really keep in mind is the hosting aspect of a website. So when you actually go to www.apple.com, let's just go back to the home page. There's a lot of information here about their products and updates and such. And yes, you can see that it's been designed and that it has a functionality, but the question is, where is it? Where is all this information actually coming from? So there are servers out there, and a lot of times for really large companies, they're going to have dedicated servers, meaning they have servers dedicated just to storing the information for their company. Like if you were looking at Facebook or Google or Apple, these companies, I'm for sure they have, dedicated servers. These are really, really industrial grade servers that can handle tons of, traffic. So, but for you, and most businesses, if you're not running a major conglomerate or social media site or something like that, you're just going to need some kind of space online. And a lot of times, the servers will actually be shared, and they're kind of like a virtual dedicated server, where you can actually go ahead and share the server with other people and split the cost. Now, if you look at the server, you're going to need the storage. The storage is going to be the hard drive or the solid state or whatever they're using, where you can actually uh, put your pictures and images so that when the coding goes to bring those images to display them, they pop up here on the screen. They have to be stored. You also need bandwidth. So when people are visiting your site, there needs to be a constant connection between the server where your website is hosted and the internet, so that whenever someone types in your address up here, that information back and forth can be whether they're sending information like putting their credit card in, or whether they're opening a new page and that information is being sent to the viewer, the consumer. That is bandwidth being connected to the internet and the data being transferred back and forth. Then there's a security aspect. So the websites, they need to have, the hosting company that you have needs to handle the security aspect of it, to a degree as well, because websites can be hacked. People can come in and start changing your site around. There's a lot of other activity that can be done in terms of hacking that can really cause a lot of problems for your business. So it's very important to have security. And then also maintenance. The servers are going to need to be maintained so that they're up and running. They need to have backup generators, because it's very important for your business. Your site is always up. That's really important. So, one thing to remember is with Squarespace, because this course really is about Squarespace, they do handle the aspect of the design. So, you're able to actually log in just like you'd log into Facebook and design your own website. And then also, they allow you to, they handle your hosting. So they deal with all the storage, the security, the bandwidth. And I do believe they have unlimited bandwidth. I may be mistaken on that, but it's basically unlimited unless you're doing something very industrial or you have tons and tons of traffic, in which case you're going to be making so much money that you could probably find someone to handle that for you. But for small businesses, for those of you who are starting up or trying to make a blog, you will be just fine with the services that Squarespace offers. It's way enough. It's totally enough power for you. You should have no problem. And then they handle the maintenance of the servers as well. So you're able to combine these two things instead of having to design it on a software and then you know go ahead and find a host. They combine those two things together, so you can just go and design your website and they handle all the hosting aspects of it. And I do believe now they are also offering domain registration, but just for the purpose of this course, I'm going to demonstrate what would happen if you were to use a separate domain registrar, such as GoDaddy.com. And even though you could use Squarespace, I believe now, and that is a new functionality, that is just so simple that you could just do that on Squarespace itself. So I want to also show you what would happen if you were using a separate domain registrar and how you would connect your domain to Squarespace. So let's move on with that stuff, and we will get your website started here.